Well, I won't upload this to any of my 3 channels. It's all me. It always has been me. It was me at 15 Fountains Road. It was me in all the hospitals. It was me in a place of care all the time. There may have been lookalikes for 15 minutes or an hour or two while I was out, but all the rest of the time, it was always me. It's me who's had all the aphrodisiacs put in my food, and it was me every time. Florence, because she weren't Mildred. Florence was an escape depressant, yeah, and she went around giving people the salmon mousse treatment. Yeah, she only did that to the Monty Python team once. She did it to me about 200 times. It's, how do you describe it? Well, alert, yeah, as in, upright, how else do you want me to put it? Erect man for 4 hours, and then you're dead for a week. No, you don't die, you just can't get out of bed for a week because you're absolutely exhausted and you feel horrendous. That must have been done about 200 times at the most. Well, around about 200 times, give or take a few hundred. Well, in excess of 200, I would think. That would have killed some people. Of course, I was drinking 5 pints the next night. And I often used to drink 8 when I wasn't on my medication, because when you're diagnosed with a lifelong illness, you just drink until you fall over from despair and frustration and all the rest. I've had all that. It was me who was squashed as a kid. It was me who was taunted at school. It was me at the council depot every day. I never skipped off school once. And because it was me at the junior school when some kid would get me to ask all his friends' sisters out. They were all pretty ones and they all turned me down. And then I'd be the one at the end of the day. I went to the Christmas disco. The teacher selected the only girl left, and she was always a plain girl, but she's always much nicer and much more fun. And actually, I like girls like that now, because I know all about good-looking girls. I think, oh, I'm amazing. Men are stupid. They'll just fawn over me. They'll do anything I want. And actually, we won't, because we realise what you like. Well, I do. You're not worth bothering with. I prefer the ordinary girls, whether they're shaped right or whatever. They're usually nicer, they're usually more fun, they're usually much better. Well, you want the whole package, really. You don't just want a good face, because they just love themselves and nobody else does. No, what I found was the ones that most blokes would turn their nose up, like, oh, I'm not going out with them. Well, most of these picky ones, you know, I wouldn't touch her with a barge pole because there's something very slightly wrong with you. Well, they're idiots anyway, the blokes who do things like that. And then, you know, of course, they get these girls and then they leave them and all that, and it's their own fault. It's their own stupidity. They never really had any hardship, have they? Yeah, if you get something, if something is given to you easily, you don't appreciate it. And actually, I wouldn't want a really good-looking girlfriend, because they're all bloody, big heads, as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to know. The slim ones, they're all idiots. They don't seem to realise, and I'll tell you why. It's a primeval thing. Most men, cavemen or whatever, wouldn't select a skinny woman because there's no fat on her. So what if there's a famine? Which one would die first? The one with the fat on, or the skinny one? The skinny one, obviously, if she's bearing his child's going to die, isn't it? And then there's the other thing, the skinny hips. Yeah, childbirth problems. Oh, can't you work that out? Well, you are stupid then. My brother was bigger than me, and he had to be born cesarean section. I was natural born. Even though the deputy head said that's impossible, I went home and said to my mum, I wasn't cesarean, was I, Mum? She said, no. Well, she says that teacher hasn't a bloody clue, and most of them didn't. Yeah, I learned ironically batty, but she didn't have wrinkled stockings. It's pathetic. It's a joke. No, this isn't a joke. I'm serious. Yeah, it's been me all the time. It was me who got that. It was me who was spat at and called a piece of crap by a 70-year-old man. And there was favouritism there. He thought the world of me, brother. And by the time I came, like, oh, I've got one of them. Got the T-shirt. I don't want you. You know, you're a pain in the neck. Clear off. We don't want to know. I don't know why that. Well, I think the whole thing was a setup so that I'd go and cry to Nana, and Nana would be my friend. You see, you've done to my mind. I don't even trust me Nana anymore. Yeah, fucking idiots. You don't want to bloody stop, do you? Yeah, you're manic. Get treatment for it. And it was, it's been me in all the care places. It's been me all the time. I mean, how much of that could you take? It was me at Central Depot. It was me at York Trailers all the time. It's ridiculous. Well, obviously somebody's been mad there when they sent me to York Trailers and wouldn't let me leave when I wanted to, because I knew I didn't belong there, and I was taught not to be offended by my nana. I don't know whether she probably would know Billy if he was a nephew, because come on, he was, wasn't he? He's not my great uncle. He's my mother's cousin, whether you're going to admit it or not. Yeah, Nana would be involved, and obviously she told me not to be offensive at all costs. I was being offensive literally by going into York Trailers because they didn't like me. That's ridiculous. I mean, is this Harris or bloody Lemmy or one of all of them together? And as for Formula One, it's a bloody joke. It's a blood sport. I'm not doing it. Got me so fucking stupid. No, I wouldn't even race a bike when I was a kid. That's right. I mean, all right. I'd been sort of egged on to build and drive a racing car, and I could do it, but that was the thing. After York Trails, I had no interest in anything. I mean, I'm not sure whether I thought at the time I'd upset the IRA, or whether that was further down the line. But it's a bit like PTSD. 6 months later, you think, okay, now did I really do that? And then it starts to sink in what you've actually done. And I had no option. My mother was supposed to be finding me a job, and I never got a job. I was on benefits for three and a half years at least, and it wasn't my fault. Yeah, they tried to get me into Vinehouse to sort me out, but I don't think they would have, because they didn't know what was going on in here, really. Because I don't talk. Well, if you think you've upset the IRA, you don't talk to any bugger about it. Because I thought there might be supergrasses or something like that. You know, you just don't know. That might sound mad, but you've never been in a situation like that. And anyone who has is usually a wreck. And of course the clowns at work, they're only cars. Yeah, well, he was an actor anyway, wasn't he? Yeah. Anyone can run down the street in a mock-up para uniform and claim to be in Belfast or wherever. It was probably filmed in flipping Barnsley. Yeah, he was a good mechanic. Yeah, but he was a miserable bugger because he was an alcoholic, wasn't he? And that's obviously influenced me. I've started to think negatively, and it's just got worse and worse and worse. Obviously now I've been amongst mental patients for 4 years. Well, locked in for 4 years. In with them for 4 years, basically. And I've got all their traits and all the rest now. It's a bloody mess. As I said years ago, after leaving York Trailers, what a waste of a good technician engineer. And obviously, there's lads that, when I worked in rally cars, the road rush D ones, the police cars, they got mini lights and everything. You want to get on with them, but obviously, I don't know whether she was a policeman's daughter, but she was as ugly as never saying, that's the policeman's daughter. Probably wasn't. Or probably someone else taking the mick. It's just pathetic. It's obviously it's manics and stuff like manic depressants or they are the manic street preachers, aren't they? That's exactly what they are. Ridiculously outgoing, part of the mania, can't control the spending, sexual promiscuity or anything like that because of the mania. They won't like me saying that. They won't even listen because they won't listen to people. Bollocks to them. They're on fucking starve. I don't care. And I don't care if the kids starve. They've nearly killed me quite a few times and they don't give a shit about it. I mean, what actually happened when I got knocked off my bike? Was it some nutter connected to a bloody rock band? More than bloody likely. And the police would have to turn a blind eye. I would, because it's called self-preservation, isn't it? They'll only tackle certain people because it's not their job to do that. I mean, really, if they're like that, they really want the army in. So their faces can't be identified and they just blow the bastards to bits. And it would be legal, wouldn't it? Because that's what the buggers want. Bloody lunatics, a lot of them. I mean, Harris, you can't reason with him. He's a nutter. Or whoever the writer is, he's a bloody head case. It's obvious by the wording. Dinosaurs and people didn't exist at the same time, so you obviously don't do your bloody homework, do you? And Billy, the store's manager, he talked absolute bollocks, and there was bollocks in here all the time. He was a bloody lunatic. He was adding up on a calculator like this, and I stood next to him and I did it all in my head, and I did it all finished before he did it. I thought, and you got it wrong anyway, you cretin, and I never even told him because that's the sort of twat he was. He asked for it. And like I was saying, the bloke who was saying the other day, I don't know who the hell he is. He's a damn nuisance. I'm not far off hitting that bastard. He's a bloody pain in the neck. He was going to put my bike in a skip. My bike, I can't remember whether I got a penny change out of 2,600 or £1. I mean, if somebody threatened to put something of yours in a bloody skip, it's worth more than a bloody skip. And they don't understand why I threatened to cut his head off and throw him in the skip first. Well, it might not be much to somebody, some billionaire who claims to be a billionaire and probably is in the red. No, not to Labour, in the red financially, and I'm just in the black now. So I am rich compared to some people, but they have massive debts. And hasn't Shane, she's just behaved like a fucking whore anyway. She looks horrendous and I'm not interested. I don't care who she is, I didn't like, I mean, it just announced, it just came up, turned up out of the blue. I mean, there's about 15 million Aprils anyway. I don't think she actually exists. Like a lot of these so-called stars. There isn't, if you try to find the real one, there isn't one. There's loads of lookalikes and probably don't get paid much. But I mean, I went up to Leyburn Lodge on my bike. It was at least a 4-hour ride. And there were 3 that definitely weren't her, and the final one wasn't her either. I don't think she actually exists, that woman. I don't think any of that lot exist. Well, bloody Margaret does. There's only one of her. She's fucking horrible. What the hell she was put there for? Was that organised? Well, it shows how bloody disorganised you are. You fuck everything up, you fucking morons.